iOS 26's best new feature, which is Spatial Scenes.
So this is a feature where you can hit a button and convert one of your pictures, and it'll do a cool little 3D scan. And you can sort of look at a 3D picture even on a 2D screen. So I have a few examples here. This is a picture of my dog I took a few years ago. You hit this hexagonal button in the upper right corner, and then you can just move it around.
Oh wow!
And look at the perspective. This is a great example because you've got a subject in the foreground, a big clear blurry background. I think I used portrait mode for this, but it even sort of tries to figure out some of the contours of my dog's face. So you see,
it's adding information there, isn't it? I mean, it's
yeah.
This is you know what this looks like is Blade Runner, that incredible scene in Blade Runner when he's zooming into that photograph, which is completely impossible because it was a 2D picture. But it's actually adding information there, isn't it? Because in the original, it's the dog's ear is occluded.
Yes,
but here
when you wiggle it around, you can see his you move his nose to the side, and you can see the ear behind it. You can see a little bit of the foliage behind him that you wouldn't normally be able to see. And that's how it's able to shift the perspective, get that parallax effect. So This is a good example of what's different about this, because Apple does have a very similarly named feature called Spatial Photos, which is when you take a 3D picture on a Vision Pro or on an iPhone. And what that does is it has, the picture has much more depth to it than this, but because it's a fixed perspective, you can't see behind anything. And so a spatial photo just looks like a normal photo when you're on an iPhone because it can't simulate any perspective. It has no way to show it. A spatial scene, which is, what I'm showing here, is where it tries to fill in little edges around the background so that you can wiggle it around like that. I have a few other example pictures here. Here's one of Craig Federighi, and you can see it's got a lot of perspective there. In this picture of Craig Federighi on a stage, he's giving a talk, and he has his hands up in front of him, kind of at shoulder level. And you can see as I move the photo around, it's giving different layers of perspective for his hands versus even the contours of his hair versus the background behind him. And you can really, if you really pay attention to the background, you can see, there are some words on the stage behind him, and it hasn't really filled those in very well. There's a grid line on the stage behind him, and it, kind of muddles that up a little bit, but you're not supposed to be looking at the details. You're supposed to be looking at wow, I can move it around and it moves.
Yeah. In the foreground.
Yeah.
It's just like those. What were those goggles we used to have as kids? The slideshows,
the
3D goggles. Yeah. The Viewmaster's back. Got any dinosaur pictures?
I haven't photographed any. Oh, I have close. I have a picture of some buffalo. I think this is a picture that I haven't yet converted to a spatial scene, so you'll see what it looks like when you do it on a new photo. You just tap the little hexagon button in the upper right corner. It's really small. It's right under the three dots menu. You tap it, it'll do a little multicolored wave, and then you can see its perspective again. And sometimes if you get a good landscape shot like this where the camera's really close to the ground, it'll even do perspective on the flat plane of ground in front of you as it's done here. So that really sells you have more foreground to play with. Sometimes if you have a big sweeping landscape background, it does kind of look like a cardboard cutout effect. There's some hills and sky in the background, but you wiggle your phone around, the clouds would not be moving in perfect sync with the ground, So you can play with this as much as you want in the Photos app, but the real special thing is when you do it as a lock screen. So you set up a Photo Shuffle lock screen, and just like a regular Photo Shuffle, as it always has been since iOS 16, you can pick different categories. It'll intelligently choose photos for you. You can switch how frequently it grabs new photos. You have a new option when you're setting up a Photo Shuffle lock screen. You have the same hexagon button. You tap it, and it'll generate spatial scenes of all of your wallpapers. And you can tap through them. Here's some rolling hills of houses in Italy.
It looks like an earthquake.
Yeah.
Well, so you just tap it once and it does it for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll generate them in the background. It's generated a preview of like, 10 or so of them, and then before your iPhone switches your wallpaper for you, it'll generate the next spatial scene. Here's a kind of terrible shot that I took on a bridge in Chicago. I don't know why it thinks this is a good picture. It's pretty blurry, but
That's a great lock screen picture.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Some
a real
Chicago
winner.
skyline there, the Grand Canyon.
Oh,
You have
wow.
some foliage in the foreground, and you can see the canyon wiggle around in the background. This is also a great way to see the liquid glass clock, which is a new effect on the
Yeah.
iOS 26, because you can.
And if you get a really good 3D scene, it occludes the clock, doesn't it? And that's a really striking effect.
Yeah, yeah. Or this building, I don't remember where I took this. It's a really like striking red church or something, and as you wiggle it around, you can see the glass of the clock like occluded. And
Look at those power lines, though; they're disappearing.
it's good when you have like both a dramatic like perspective that you can show, like a cityscapes, shots of nature.
What happens to the original photograph?
The original photo is still there. You can turn it back off again, and then it'll just be a static shot.
It doesn't create a duplicate or anything like that. It's like a dynamic effect that you can turn on and off.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, when you have a normal flat photo, like a wallpaper has to be really tall and skinny, and the clock like covers the upper 40% of the image. So on most normal photos, when you're setting a normal photo lock screen, you have the ability to sort of uncrop it, and your phone will like intelligently blur the top of the screen and like automatically fill in to make sure the subject of the photo is below the clock. But you can't do that with a spatial scene, which is a somewhat frustrating limit if you want to have like a spatial scene of like, your partner or your kids or a dog or something like that. It needs to have like a lot of headroom above the subject of the photo. But it's really great with the photo shuffle because then you just get, to try it over and over again. Like I haven't gotten to the end of these yet. Ooh, that's one of the Sears Tower.
Look at that liquid glass effect there. Yeah.
Yeah. Spatial scenes. It's a pretty cool feature. I think it's maybe after you get bored of like the liquid glass thing for a week or two, this is another feature that you can use to wow people. So it's pretty cool. I don't use a photo as my wallpaper, but for the people who do, this is going to be a pretty exciting feature.
All right, nice one. Yeah, that's a great little tool there.